we're going to go into the notorious story of Michigan. We're going to get right on into it. Okay. All right. I get to Michigan. My children are at school in Colorado before we arrive. My children are in school, and I have I think 1 or 2 that in a Head Start. And immediately, I didn't want to leave Colorado, but there were actually no Muslims that I know, and I actually wanted to make this move. I didn't want to move at all because at this time I'm kind of pretty much burnt out. I'm still kind of young, 23 maybe. Right. I hadn't even turned 24 yet. Still kind of, and my life is changing. I have a little control of my life. And to me, it's going in the direction of which I wanted to go in. So immediately when I arrive in Michigan, the administrator, Brother Sully, he's there, and I talked to my mother about, I think my parents' mother, I think it was my mother, about putting my children in school. She said, well, you had to talk to, administrator, and I go him, and we clash immediately. Soon as he started talking that nonsense about, we need Jamaat-minded children and Mubarak, Jelani this and Sheikh and Abuji and Shadi stuff, I was like, finished. I knew immediately. It's like that intuition was like, Shahrazad, you know better than this. It's like I hadn't even had experience on the outside of Colorado, and I just knew. Yeah. So we were there a couple of years. I'm growing tired of this mess. I have no respect for him, and I actually really don't have a lot of respect for people who do not value education. It tends to be something that kind of, unnerves me for the right reasons. Yep. So a couple of years go into it, and I'm like, I'm registering my children for school, and I don't care. They're gonna have to look out the window and watch my kids board this bus because it came right in the front of the land. And I didn't care. At this point, I was like, I don't care. So I registered my oldest 2 children for school. Okay, getting ready. They got the backpacks on, and I literally, as I was getting ready to slip my shoes on, boom, boom, boom at the door. Get a loud knock. I was like, oh, that knock does not sound right. It's kind of too early for that kind of knock. So I said, I told my boys, go back, go back from the door, whatever. And it's like, and it's my wali, my mother's husband. And he said, oh, I need to talk to you. So I stepped down, but he says, oh, I want to talk to you in the van. And something is saying, that little gut feeling is like, because I know our people. My head is saying no, but my feet are still walking, because, we're so conditioned. Yeah. So when I get into the van, they call him Naib Sully at that time, he's in the front. But I can tell this by he doesn't turn his head around. He doesn't say anything. And we just start riding. And I was like, okay, we got to have a whole meeting about me, registering my children in school. So we get to the back of the land, and we go into one of the empty trailers. And I'm getting ready to sit down. No one's saying anything. And my wali, he's just standing there. But as we're going down, I don't see, what they call him, Little Sully. I don't see him. He doesn't come down the hallway. But I hear the notorious ching, ching, ching. I said, oh, no. No. All the stories about ladies being locked up, punched up, be tied to trees, the whole 9 yards. And I hear more clink. I said, oh, no, come on. Nah, can't be chains. And sure enough, they are chains. And I hear ching, and they're dragging. I was like, oh, my. Now, what are we going? But my mind just pretty much goes blanks. He doesn't say anything. So when he says something to the effect of about Sheikh, we obey his orders and this, that, the other. But I'm pretty much tone deaf at this point because I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just heard chains. I hear chains. So he doesn't say anything. He comes, he pulls all these chains, and he takes the cuffs, and he cuffs my left foot. He cuffs my right foot, and then he brings kind of like he brings the center chain up. Brings the center one up. Shackles. So he brings the center chains up, and he cuffs my right and then my left hand. He takes the remaining, and he's doing this with this attitude. Literally, I heard so many stories about him. I thought he was going to pull a chain and actually flip me over and do me in because I heard a lot of stories. I wasn't really sure at this point. and heard a lot, and I've seen a lot too. I've seen people abused, but he doesn't. He just takes a chain and he pretty much takes it around the fireplace, and he brings me as close to the fireplace that I can't either go to any of the windows or any of the doors. So, and they just take a bucket, they put it by me, and they walk. They don't say nothing.
And what was the bucket for?
Nothing. Potty. So I can say this story a little bit easier so many years now. And I have a lot of inner strength. So, so I'm like, what is going on? But really, when I'm in the chains, I'm kind of worried, but I'm more worried about, and I'll be honest, I was like, oh my gosh, my kids.
Yeah.
I know they didn't get on the bus. Gosh, they missed the bus. I'm more really still much concerned about my children, but they don't say anything. They just, later on, I think someone brought in the bread and water, and every Friday, I couldn't get unchained. They unchained me every Friday, and I could, Juma Ghusl, and I could have one meal. But they never said how long I'd be in there, however, but I came in on a Monday, and I know I did 5 Fridays. I did 5 Fridays. And the middle, no, I'm not panicking now. I'm not panicking because pretty much inside, I'm trying to use my internal strength. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, sure that this is going to be over with soon enough. It can't be long. I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks or something like that. But I'm still thinking that this is not my life and my future. And I don't know why these thoughts were coming in. It's just maybe, what I'm equipped with, try to focus. But by that 3rd week, despair sets in. And I could feel it from the time I woke up. I couldn't fight it, but I didn't want to cry. I did everything not to cry. I forced myself not to cry. I could feel the tears, and I would keep, try to, back them up because I didn't want to break. Right. So, and as soon as I laid, I was like, well, by the afternoon, I laid down. I was like, I could feel the tear. I could feel my chest. I was like, God, I don't want to cry. I was just trying to fight it. And then I hear we had a lot of raccoons in this property. I hear a scratching on the trailer. But I'm trying to tune it out. But then actually, tears do start coming. I can feel the tears coming. And then I hear tink, tink on the window. I turn and look at the window, and I see one of my children. One of the older ones hiked the smaller ones. And that's 3 weeks. They're looking for their mother. They're looking. They said, and they tell me, they said, we was looking for you. We knew you was on the land. They said we couldn't go to the back of the land. So they kept sneaking around. And it's really a sad story. And that is when I saw my I looked, I was like, but I'm waving her down because I don't want anyone to see her. So I thought, get down. So then they hike another one up. And it was the saddest thing because I was more concerned with them seeing the chains, and I didn't want to keep that in their memory. So alhamdulillah, it was actually, I think about 5, I stayed there about 4 weeks. Might have been around 40 days.
It's a long time.
That's a long time. And how I knew it was because it was 5 Fridays, and the 5th Friday, nothing. They always came on a Friday, I could wash. Nobody comes on a Friday. I'm actually nervous. The sun sets. And then I hear click, click, click at the door. And I'm like, okay, it's dark in the trailer. What is going on now? I'm thinking the mob is coming. It's like stage 2, I'm thinking. And the lights go on. I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. Or hey, I don't know, this next stage is taking me somewhere else. And okay, and these are actually my mother, my wali, and of course, Brother Sully. And pretty much what he was saying was pretty something I wasn't even really listening to. It was pretty much a blah for me, talking about sheikh and the rules and authority and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, And I get unchained.
Okay.
You chain me and go back to the property. And I just pretty much stay pretty quiet, try to say to myself, well, try to focus and stuff like that. And I would only stay there a year longer in Michigan, and this is how I would land in California. I would go from that property, then I would go to California, which would be the last property I live on.